Welcome to Thriller author AD Hayes' Behind the Scenes Diary, an exclusive look at the behind the scenes misadventures of a 30-something author. Discover how close she is to releasing her latest novel, hear exciting details about upcoming writing projects, and the tools she uses to self-publish her books. You can find the episode show notes and lots more information at authoradhay.com. Happy Tuesday, book lovers. I've been thinking about changing how I deliver the content on my behind the scenes author blog. I was recently inspired by Paul Teague Self-Publishing Journeys podcast. Paul does this great podcast diary where he gives you a weekly personal update on his writing journey. This is something I've been doing on my blog, but I've dropped the ball a bit, and I thought a podcast diary could bring, a little joy back to this blog. So that's what you can expect from this behind the scenes diary. I aim to keep it under 15 minutes, and I promise to be straight to the point. Here I'll discuss my current work in progress, future writing projects, and lessons learned, and how you can get your hands on exclusive content and short stories. Over the past few weeks, I've noticed a disturbing trend in my productivity as a writer. I think since about the time I returned from my wedding in Australia, I'm becoming less and less productive. The reason for the decline in my productivity is quite simple. I've dropped a few great habits that served me well in the first half of the year. I'm essentially giving into resistance, teaching my mind to become scattered, and as a result, I'm becoming a little lazy. For the sake of productivity and developing great habits, today I'm going to share with you my goals for October. I've divided my goals into 3 sections: content creation, writing, and health. So let's get started. So here are my goals for October 2017. Under content creation, I want to publish 4 episodes of the Indie Authorpreneur podcast. Number 2, update the first 9 episodes on SoundCloud. The reason why I need to do this is it's the first 8 episodes that I need to update. When I went and edited the first 8 updates on the podcast, I didn't sort of consider how I was going to transition to one segment to another. And as you've already listened to in this podcast, I have added in little segments of music that sort of break up the different sections of this podcast just to make it easier for you to listen to. And I haven't done this in the Indie Authorpreneur podcast. And because I've chosen to host it on SoundCloud, I have the option of updating the episodes and it will appear in the RSS feed. And as we speak, I've already done episode 1 and I just have episode 2 through to 8 to do by the end of the month. And I'm pretty happy with that. And once I do this, I will submit the podcast to iTunes and Stitcher and everywhere else. Number 3 is publish 4 blog posts on my author blog. I have 2 blogs. I have my Indie Authorpreneur blog, which is under ameliahay.com, and I have another one which is on authoradhay.com. And the reason why they're originally on the same podcast, they were originally on the same website. I was able to sort of separate the blogs on that website, so it looked like I had 2 blogs, but really I had 1. But I slowly realized that when I submitted my RSS feed to places, it would show everything and not these 2 segments, not these 2 particular blogs. So it wouldn't just show the Indie Authorpreneur blog or the behind the scenes blog, it would show both. So I separated my websites into 2 different websites. So now that I've done this, I've really dropped the ball on blogging lately. Well, just in content creation entirely. So these are the reasons why these particular goals exist. So the 4th goal that I have under content creation is publish 4 weekly vlogs on my YouTube channel. The reason why I have this goal is I do actually like being on YouTube, and I think it's like a great way just to sort of share the behind the scenes of my life as an author, share writing tips, but I need to do it in a way that's right for me. I do find it quite difficult to sit down and do a talking head style writing tips video, so I've merged my love of vlogging with writing tips to a week in the life of a writer vlog. So I really wanted to do 4 of those this month. This goal is pretty pretty ambitious, and I may actually fail on this one, but that's okay. The point is that I try and I figure out what actually suits me, and perhaps I will only do 2 of these weekly vlogs, but I need to figure this out, and I need to get started, and I need to focus on creating great habits around my business, because I don't have a boss. If I don't get my work done, I don't sell books. Well, I don't have books to sell, and therefore I don't make sales, therefore I can't have coaching clients, therefore I don't make any money. So if I don't get on top of and overcome these lazy habits that I've created, then, my business will fall apart. So this is another reason why I'm sharing this with you, is I want to create a certain level of accountability. So under writing, my 5th goal is to finish the 4th revision pass on immunity by the end of October. This is another pretty ambitious goal that I have, but in saying that, I want to sort of get to a point where I'm halfway through my heavy fiction edit for immunity. What a heavy fiction edit is I go through the manuscript and I edit the book in passes, so I only focus on one particular element at a time, and this really helps me not get stuck and become overwhelmed and then just do nothing. My 5th goal is to continue brainstorming and write a synopsis for my new fantasy series, and I actually have a title for this, and it's called Time Spell. So now I have a couple of health goals, because I've sort of realized that I don't have balance. I'm all work and I don't really take care of my body in a way that I should. And, it's really important to me, but I've really been neglecting this. So number 7 is work out 5 times a week for the month of October. Yeah, this is ambitious for me, because I've gone from nothing or doing a workout once every now and then to working out 5 times. But I need to sort of get moving. I don't necessarily mean that I have to do 5 1-hour workouts a week, but just 5 high intensity interval training style workout where I'm only working out for 15 minutes. The point is I need to get moving 5 times a week. And the 8th is probably the most important, and that's to eat less processed foods and more whole foods. So by the end of October, I want to be consuming a diet of 80% whole foods. I want to work my way to this gradually, so I don't want to be doing this every day from 1st of October, but I want to sort of get to a place where at the end of October I'm eating more foods that exist in nature naturally. And this is it's sort of good for my body, and I'm hoping it'll have more energy and I'll just be healthier in general, because that's important. So those are my 8 goals for the month of October. I'm just going to go through them again really quickly. Number 1, publish 4 episodes of the Indie Authorpreneur podcast. Number 2, update the first 8 episodes on SoundCloud. Number 3, publish 4 blog posts on my author blog. Number 4, publish 4 weekly vlogs on my YouTube channel. Number 5, finish the 4th revision pass of immunity by the end of October. Number 6, continue brainstorming and write a synopsis for my new fantasy series Time Spell. Number 7, work out 5 times a week, every week for the month of October. Number 8, eat less processed foods and more whole foods by the end of October. So how am I going to measure my success? It's one thing to set a goal and it's another thing to achieve it. And before you go and sort of take action on a goal, you need to decide how you're going to measure success. So I've decided I'm going to measure my success in 2 ways. So at the end of October, I need to complete 6 out of 8 of the goals. The reason why I say 6 out of 8, that's basically 75%. I think it's unrealistic for me to set these goals and say I need to achieve all of them by the end of October. So when you get to the end of October, if I've achieved 7, technically that's a failure if I set that type of 100% success rate. So if I set 75, it's more realistic, and I give myself a little bit of leeway to sort of fail a bit but sort of succeed at the same time. And the other thing is, just make it a tad more complicated, I want to complete at least half of the goals in each category. Like, I just don't want to completely miss a category like writing or my health. And the reason why I've done this is I've noticed a pattern in the previous months where I've sort of set arbitrary goals and I haven't actually achieved any of my writing ones or my health ones. So I want to make sure that I avoid that particular habit in the future. Those are my goals and how I plan on measuring my success in the future. I hope you have a great rest of the week. I'll see you next Monday for another podcast diary. Thanks for listening and goodbye. Thank you for listening to the thriller author A.D. Hayes Behind the Scenes Diary. If you're new to this podcast or want to be notified about more episodes just like this, then click the subscribe button right now. I'm your host, Amelia Hay, and I'll see you next Monday for another diary episode.